Hello everybody, welcome to SA Cape Education's Perceptual Skills webinar, Rethinking How Senses Can Be Used to Develop Perceptual Skills. My name is Jade Bassanen. I'm an education specialist at SA Cape. You can find me at jade@sacape.org.za. Before we start, I'd like to just go through a few housekeeping rules. Firstly, this session will be about 45 minutes long. At the end, we'll have time for 5 minutes of Q&A. And we'd love you to send through your questions and maybe your ideas that you get through the webinar, something that you are doing at school that might be of interest to us. We love to hear from you. At the end, we only have 5 minutes for a Q&A, so I'd love to get to everybody's questions. If I don't, please know that you can always email me and I'd love to remain in touch with you. This is a very special topic to us and we hope that you enjoy it. Please remain on mute and please know that this webinar is being recorded. This is the first in a series of 3 webinars about perceptual skills. The first one is Rethinking How Senses Can Be Used to Develop Perceptual Skills by me, Jade. Next week, Karen will be talking about using play to develop perceptual skills. And Lisa will be talking about the importance of perceptual skills development in emotionally challenging times. So I hope that you can join us for all 3 webinars. It's a very exciting topic. Normally we have a 4-hour workshop in a series of workshops to do on this topic, but today we've got 45 minutes, so we're going to try and give you as much as we can to take back to your classrooms and do fun and exciting activities in a meaningful way. So I hope you sit back, relax and enjoy, and thank you so much for joining us today. I'm very excited to be with you. So a reflection before we start. Has learning changed during COVID-19? Take a few minutes just to think about that. Has learning changed during the time of COVID? This webinar is going to be in 2 parts. Part 1 is recapping perceptual skills. Part 2 is going to be on wonderful activities that we are going to chat about that you can do at school. So why are we rethinking the role of the senses in perceptual skills development in young children during this time of COVID? Is learning different? The question that I posed to you before. If so, how? And how can we support children who now need to learn differently? So how is learning different in your centers or in your schools? We can't ignore the fact that COVID has changed our lives. We can't teach in the old way that we used to teach. This is the new normal. Until when, we don't know. So how is learning different? You can see by the picture. This little girl in the picture has got a face mask. Her teacher next to her has got a face mask. They're sitting at a social distance. When children arrive in the morning, they have to go through a whole sanitization process that they never used to do before. They have to wait in a line and keep their distance from their friends, where maybe they'd arrive at school usually in the time before COVID, and they'd be able to play and jump on each other and be so excited to see each other and be on the playground equipment and be doing cartwheels and handstands. Now they have to be really aware of themselves, aware of their environment, aware of their distance from their friends, and their classrooms even look different. In a preschool environment, you now have a designated area where you sit on the carpet. Before, you just jump on the carpet and get the nearest spot closest to your friend, and if you could sit on your friend's lap, you would. Things are very, very different. And in a foundation phase classroom, in grade R or grade 1, the desks are now very far apart. You might not even have school for the whole week. It might be 2 days a week. You might not have your friends in your class anymore because the class has been split, because the class is trying to be smaller. So we can see learning is very, very different. And how can we support children who need to learn differently? We need to adapt and be creative and teach with intention. We can't ignore the differences. There's more stress in life as well. I know that for the children, and all of our lives have changed, but we need to adapt. And I know as teachers and educators, we are very good at doing that. So how do children learn? Children learn with their 5 senses. and they make meaning through that learning through perceptual skills. Always. During the time of COVID, not in COVID, children learned through their five senses, and they make meaning of their five senses through their perceptual skills. So perceptual skills, the word perceptual skills comes from the word to perceive, to become aware of and understand and make sense of the world around you using your senses. How do you recognize and understand things? So just read that for a few minutes, absorb that and take it in. To perceive. Why are the five senses so important? Because that's how we as adults and children and people of this world, that is how we experience the world. Through experiencing the world, our five senses, we develop skills to make sense of the world and function effectively in it. We perceive things by using our sense of seeing, hearing, tasting, smelling, and mostly through a combination of those senses. We interact with the world through our five senses. We teach children about the five senses. Why? With the intention so that they understand the world better, and that we give them a learning opportunity to experience the world through their five senses and develop perceptual skills so they can properly and safely interact with the world. Perceive means, as we've seen before, is to take in, receive, and identify and recognize and make meaning. So we see the five senses in front of us now. It's a hot topic. We always talk about the five senses with the children. What do we see? What do we hear? What can we touch? What can we taste? What can we smell? And we intentionally go through each of those five senses to allow the children to understand that what's connected on their body is that's how they understand the world. For example, when you see and learn about a fire truck, you show the children a fire truck. That's a fire truck. Now I know what's the purpose of a fire truck. The purpose of a fire truck is an emergency vehicle, and it's to put out fires. Hopefully the children will be able to go on an outing if they're learning about emergency services and they can see the fire trucks. They can understand that the firemen are on the fire trucks and they're wearing these fire outfits to help them to keep safe. And then you hear the fire truck siren, and when you're at home one day and you just hear the fire truck in a distance, you say, Mom, that's the fire truck, I remember that. So you've seen something, and then you're learning through your perceptual skills of recognizing memory, telling the difference, taking in and making meaning of the world through that sense of sight and through your perceptual skills. Same with hearing, same with touching. Don't touch a fire. You are taught from a young age, don't touch the fire, it's hot. Some children might learn the hard way. We've all burnt ourselves at some point in time and learned that way. Please, hopefully the children don't need to learn the hard way, but they are taught, don't touch something that is hot. It can burn you. So when they see a fire, oh, I've seen it, I can't touch it, it's dangerous, I need to stay away from it. So they're experiencing it through their senses, and they are making meaning through their perceptual skills. Otherwise, you're just going through the world with your five senses. How do you make meaning of it? How do you perceive it? Through these 8 perceptual skills that we're going to also talk about. Your sense of taste. You've taken an apple, you've seen the apple, you've tasted it, you've heard it crunch in your mouth, you can taste its delicious juices. The next time you see an apple, you recall, your memory recalls your experience that you had with that apple. So once you've seen it through that sense of sight, then you can understand through your perceptual skills what that apple actually is and what it means. Same as your sense of smell. So we understand now through this that we learn in the world through our 5 senses, and we make meaning of it through our perceptual skills. I hope that makes sense. Right. And all of this is about teaching with intention. We are so worried that we have to jam-pack our curriculums. Our children have missed out so much school this year. We have to get through all our themes. We have to get through the DBE books. We have to get through our curriculum. Don't lose sight of the process of learning. Children would have hopefully have learned something at home. during lockdown. But now they are at school again. They are with their teachers and their caregivers, and they're so excited to be in the school environment. Don't get wrapped up in trying to catch up. You're not going to be able to catch up. You just got to take off where you left off and make the best of it and teach with intention. So the purpose of perception is to be able to interpret information effectively through the senses. It's not just about hearing without listening. You might be listening to me, but there are other things going on in your environment that you can hear, but you're not focusing on them. Seeing without focusing, I'm looking at my computer screen, but I have other things in my peripheral vision that I can see, but I'm not focusing on them. Feeling without being aware of the surface, and smelling and tasting without registering. Develop perceptual skills intentionally, giving children the opportunity to learn through their five senses so they can listen, focus, be aware, and register. It's our life work as a teacher to help learners learn. Don't forget the gift that we have as teachers to be able to have learners in front of us. It's not just a profession that we've chosen, it's a calling. And I know all of us are passionate about teaching, and it is stressful, and there's so much has changed. But what hasn't changed, especially how brave you are to have gone back to the classroom, what hasn't changed is your love of the children and your love of teaching. And I always think we have to look on the bright side. It has to be an opportunity for us now in the time of COVID to especially focus on the senses and perceptual skills, because the learning is so different. And the responsibility that we have to these little people, we must always remember. Right, so perceptual skills in the five senses during COVID-19 is the running theme. During the time of COVID, senses have been dulled. The sense of smell has been dulled. The sense of touch has been dulled and interfered with. And the sense of hearing. Why has the sense of smell been dulled? Because we are wearing masks over our faces all the time. Touch, we are continuously sanitizing our hands. We always have to be aware of what we're touching. We can't touch each other in an affectionate way like we used to. We can't hear people talking properly because their voices are muffled behind masks. That is also how learning has changed. This creates potential barriers to learning or opportunities to overcome these. Teachers always face challenges. We have to have inspiration and motivation to overcome this. We have to find lots of ways to create sensory learning opportunities to nurture these dulled senses. We can't ignore the fact that the senses are dulled. So as we said before, it demands a daily rethink to plan and adapt activities. How do we as educators create perceptually sensitive classroom environments? We have to be sensitive that the perceptual skills need to be harnessed and focused on. In other words, a classroom where learners are provided with multi-layered perceptual experience, not just rigid, boring bookwork. How do we adapt our teaching of perceptual skills to overcome the restrictions we now have in our daily lives? Don't ignore the dull senses and cater to the heightened senses. When one sense is lost or dulled, other senses are heightened. As we know with blind people, their sense of smell and hearing and touch is amazing, totally heightened, because a huge sense of theirs is lost. So we have to also cater to those senses that are heightened. The sense of emotion is heightened. The sense of sight, we need to have a visually pleasing, everything's so different. Let's add beauty and excitement into our classrooms. So the overriding theme of this webinar is our five senses, our perceptual skills. But as I said, we normally have 4 hours to cover each of the 8 perceptual skills that are developed through our 5 senses, but we don't have time today. So we have chosen to focus on discrimination, recognizing similarities and differences. But obviously, through the activities that I'm going to present to you, all the other 8 perceptual skills will come into play. So just by default, it's not just like we can completely compartmentalize, but we can intentionally focus on certain ones. So discrimination, recognizing, let's have a little recap on our perceptual skills. These are 8 perceptual skills that all 5 senses can perform these skills. So we've chatted about discrimination. Let's talk about constancy, recognizing something that is similar even when the context is slightly different. Symbol recognition, recognizing a symbol and making meaning of it. Closure, complete as a whole when given incomplete information. Analysis and synthesis, divide the whole into separate parts and combine to form a whole. Memory, recalling information. Sequencing, recall the correct order of information. And figure ground, recognizing the foreground details without getting confused by the background. All our 5 senses can perform these skills. But in our part 2, we are going to be focusing on discrimination and having beautiful activities to do with the 5 senses. So let's quickly recap. We learn through our 5 senses. We create opportunities to intentionally nurture each sense through sensory activities. And then we develop perceptual skills on each sense. Don't ignore dulled senses. Nurture and develop all 5 senses in fun and exciting ways. For example, activities to develop perceptual skills. So we've chatted in part 1 about the what. What are we talking about? We're talking about that our classrooms have changed. We're talking about that learning has changed. The 5 senses are there, but some of the senses are dulled. And we really need to harness and focus on our 5 senses and our perceptual skills development so our children don't lose out on very important learning opportunities in preschool and especially foundation phase as well. That our activities we have to rethink our activities to cater to the time of COVID. So I hope that part 1 gave you an overview of what are perceptual skills, why are the 5 senses important, how can we adapt our classroom environment. And now in part 2, I'm going to talk about 3 interesting activities. I wish I could give you so much more, and I wish I was in a classroom with you so I could learn from you, because I'm sure you're doing so much amazing stuff in your classrooms right now. That I would love to learn from. So please email me your ideas, because I can come up with these activities and I'm sure you're going to hopefully take them away and adapt them and make them your own. So now we are going to highlight using nurturing the 5 senses and perceptual skills, and I'm going to give you fun activities to integrate into your curriculum. This isn't an extra burden on you. You know, it's not something that you have to now go back and it's something extra to worry about. It's something that you can add, something exciting as part of your daily program to nurture these dulled senses that we now have in the time of COVID. Right, so this is a feely bag activity. So this is a wonderful practical activity. Right now, especially in the foundation phase, children are going back to their desks and it's very print heavy. So they're sitting down with their pencils and their books, and the teachers are now drumming in the curriculum because they've missed out so much. What happens? What is that pencil? Has a child ever had an opportunity? It's so quick, we have to quickly take out our pencils and our books. What is that pencil? What am I writing with? What is this book that I'm touching? This tactile experience that I'm having? Have we ever had an opportunity to touch your stationery with intention to learn? We come from preschool, which is such a beautiful sensory environment. We get opportunities to play with Play-Doh and clay and mess around with foam and in the sand, and all of a sudden in foundation phase, boom, it's taken away. You're at the desk and now you have to write. So hopefully you haven't lost in preschools in time of COVID now the opportunity for those sensory tactile experiences, because that's how children are learning. The first 9 years of a child's life, that is when all these perceptual skills are being developed through their five senses. If we forget about five senses learning, we've lost track of the purpose of all of this. So this feely bag activity is an intentional touch activity focusing on discrimination. We get to experience and interact with all our senses in a fun learning activity. This activity can be done at any time of day. I would like to do it in my morning ring. And if everybody's not sitting on the carpet and they're at their desks, you can still do your morning ring at their desk. And I hope that you are still incorporating song and dance and chatting and sensory experiences into the classroom, not just stressful COVID rules and regulations. So once you've done your morning ring songs and the children are into the day, you can ask them, everybody, you've got your pencil bag in front of you. And some of you may at home have your pencil bags in front of you. And if you'd like to have an interactive experience with your feely bag, I encourage you to do so, because it's always nice as a teacher to experience something before you actually do the lesson with the children. So as I said, this is an intentional touch tactile activity with the focus on the perceptual skill of discrimination. So we are intentionally allowing the children to have a tactile experience, using their hands, not worrying about sanitizing, not worrying about being close to anybody, but actually experiencing something with the sense of touch. And we're going to be honing in on the perceptual skill of discrimination, discussing similarities and differences. If you don't have pencil bags and you're in a preschool context, you can use their little box that you've created. I've spoken to a lot of teachers about little boxes that they've created for each child with their crayons and their chalk and whatever interesting thing is inside there. So now I encourage you, children, I'm going to pretend I'm the teacher. Children, everybody, open your pencil bags and have a good look inside it. Smell it? Because stationery actually has a smell. This is my child's stationery bag from grade 1, and the smell takes me all the way back to grade 1 when I was there. So it's actually quite amazing, and that's a perceptual skill of memory. My sense of smell was taking me back many, I won't tell you how many years, to my grade 1 class. And that memory is my perceptual skill that was harnessed at a young age. Okay, so Sipho, can you please reach into your magic pencil bag and find something that is long? Long. Everybody say long. Long. Exactly. Find something that's long. Oh, excellent. A ruler. Everybody, what is that? A ruler. What color is your ruler, Sipho? It's pink. Beautiful. And they start giggling. No, boys are allowed to have pink. We don't discriminate with color with boys and girls. This is a pink ruler and it's long. What does it feel like? It feels hard. What's it made of? No, it's not made of glass. Who else can do it? Plastic, exactly. And it's smooth. Beautiful, Sipho. I love that. Now, Charlotte, can you find something that is shorter than Sipho's ruler? She looks in her pencil bag and she finds a pencil. Yes. Charlotte, hold up your pencil. Let's see. Okay, we can't come near each other, but you can try. Yes, it's definitely shorter than the ruler. Excellent. And what does your pencil feel like, Charlotte? It's hard. Do you know what's inside there, Charlotte? No, it's called lead. Pencil has lead inside, and that's the thing that you write with. Beautiful, Charlotte. Okay. Fatima, can you please find something in your pencil bag that could be dangerous? Everybody look in your pencil bags. Okay, everybody can pull out something. I can see you very excited. Everybody pull out something that could be dangerous. Yes, a scissors. But how do you hold it so it's not dangerous, Charlotte and Fatima and Siba? How do you hold it? Excellent. And if you want to give the scissors to somebody, how do you give the scissors? You don't have to give it to them now, but you show us. Beautiful. So this is just a small example of how a pencil bag can become alive. You don't need to buy anything. You don't need to get anything into the classroom. It's using what you have. At Ought, we like to say use recycling, use what the children have, and be creative with it. It's a wonderful experience. Otherwise, this would be dull and boring. You're taking a tactile activity with intention to feel and to describe a language-rich activity. And it makes a pencil bag become the most exciting thing. And you are comparing what's long, longer, longest, short, shortest, hard, hardest, soft, rough, smooth, all these words that you are teaching the children and associating these words with the touch. And then you are comparing it, which is the element of perceptual skills of discrimination. So you can also ask them to close their eyes, so to dull their eyes. It's endless. So I hope that you enjoyed that feelie bag activity and that you take something away to your classroom and you can make something that would otherwise be boring and a mundane everyday school situation to be fun and exciting in a safe way in the time of COVID, to really give children a tactile experience. Snack time fun. During the time of COVID, children's snack time is very different. You can see in the picture here, they are given their little designated, demarcated areas. Snack time used to be, we call it a balagan, a big mess, a social time, a time for everybody to dig into each other's lunch boxes, share foods from different cultures, chat, make a big mess. Now it is very solemn and very regulated. Let's make something fun out of it. Right? They can still use, we can still use this in a safe way and a fun and exciting way. So this snack time fun activity is an opportunity to develop dulled sense of smell and taste, because it's one of the only times in the day that the children get to take their masks off safely. Isn't that exciting? They get to breathe, they get to taste, they get to talk without this thing over their face. So with this activity, we're going to taste with purpose and make meaning with discrimination. I'm very aware that some schools may not have lunch boxes. Some schools may have their own feeding programs. Some schools may not actually have food at all. But you can bring small tastes, little tastes for the children. You can adapt the activity to however your school is managing snack time or eating time. And you can even just chat about food and use books if it's a bit hard to do it this way. So the items that you will need is a lunch box. So I've got my lunch box in front of me. So everybody get their lunch boxes. And you open their lunch boxes, and sometimes it's exciting and sometimes it's not exciting. And children, okay, so now we've washed our hands. Our hands are squeaky clean. Show me your hands, beautiful and clean. And look inside your lunchbox. Have a good smell. Oh, your tummies are hungry. Oh, that sensation of a hungry tummy. Can you hear it grumbling? Okay, so Gavin, can you tell me something in your lunchbox that smells strong? Yes, strong. Okay, so he's digging in his lunchbox. He's taking things out. And okay, yeah, I've got a peanut butter sandwich, ma'am, and teacher, and it smells very strong. It's much stronger than the other smells in my lunchbox. What other smells do you have in your lunchbox? Well, I have an apple and I have a nachi. Smell those. Smell those. Does anybody else have an apple? Oh, amazing. Smell your apple, right? But the peanut butter overpowers that smell, right? Smell your orange. And doesn't it smell different, your nachi, when you open it to when it's in its peel? Suddenly when you open it, it's a smelling sensation. So you can do activities around smell, intentionally smelling and intentionally tasting and describing what the children are experiencing. Can anybody find something sweet in their lunchbox? Anybody got something sweet? Oh, I've got a biscuit, teacher. Oh, that is delicious. And what's in the middle of that biscuit? Icing. And what's the icing made of? Sugar. Oh, deliciously sweet. But what are we going to have first? Is Gavin going to have his healthy sandwich or his biscuit first? Exactly. Healthy food always first. And then you can talk about healthy food and why healthy food's important and what else is in your lunchbox that's healthy. Can Fatima show me something that's healthy in her lunchbox? Beautiful. What is your favorite food? Lisa, can you tell me what your favorite food is? Oh, I love pizza. Oh, describe the pizza to me. It's multi-layered on the pizza. Can you remember the delicious taste that the pizza has? Absolutely. And when you just bit into your chip now, what did it sound like? Was crunchy. Have a beautiful discussion around the food that the children are eating. It's a mindful activity. We as adults also don't mindfully eat or mindfully drink. Give ourselves, while we are having our snack with the children, an opportunity to taste each taste and smell each smell. Take advantage that your mask is off safely and you get to taste the delicious food, smell it, and have a sensory experience. And rather than just sitting boringly and eating your food, create a wonderful activity around snack time, lunchbox fun. And you don't have to do it every day. It can be a Friday treat. Now it's going to be the lunchbox time fun activity to do. And the children will be like, yeah! And they're going to get out their lunchboxes and they're going to be, yeah, I'm going to talk about that and I'm going to hide that because my friend's going to want to take that from me, but they can't. That's great about COVID, that actually my friends can't take my delicious snacks. It's a wonderful opportunity for a sensory experience around snack time fun and taking something that is restricted and making it fun and intentionally teaching with smell and taste and the five senses and using discrimination as our perceptual skill that we are trying to teach. Okay, so this is our last activity for today. And this is one of my most favorite activities to do. It's called the winter walk, but actually it's a walk for all seasons. So before you go on this lovely walk, you can have a morning ring to discuss the seasons. What do we see around us that's different in summer and in spring and in autumn and winter? What can we see that's different around us? So through this winter walk, we are going to use our five senses and we are going to compare the things around us with the intention to develop the skill of perceptual skill of discrimination. Right? What the children will need is a little treasure box. So you can actually say that we're going on a treasure hunt. Now, you can use recycling boxes that come from recycling, or the children can even make their own little boxes out of paper. And this is obviously you're going to do it in a safe way. You're going to maintain a social distance on your walk. And so they line up and you say, children, we are going on a beautiful treasure hunt. We are going on a winter. Winter is almost over. And if you don't get to do it in winter, you can do it in spring. And we are going to go on this walk and see what we can discover. Hopefully you have an outdoor area to go and explore in your school or go on a little outing to the park maybe. And if you can't, you can do it through books or visuals, or you can just adapt it. But as long as the children are getting to use their senses, getting to talk about what they see, and getting to find a few treasures along the way to make it meaningful and they can describe it for you. So you've got your little box and off you go. And sometimes I know it can be a little bit dear macabre, taking children on a walk. They can be a bit wild. So you can use a song. You can say, now we're going to sing a song while we're walking and we're waiting to stop and find our treasures. We're going to say, follow the leader, 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 follow the leader. Follow the leader, 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 follow the leader. And the children love singing that song. You can also sing a song about what are we finding? What are we finding? Finding something along the way. Look at the tree. Look at the ground. Oh, wow. Stop. Find a treasure. Pick something up and see what you can find. You can make it up. I make up songs all day when I'm teaching. I sound like a little bit of a loony. But singing lightens the mood. It makes it fun and exciting. So go for your walk and ask the children to use their ears. What do you hear around you? You hear a bird, you hear a car, you hear the wind. What can you find? Touch, collect things on the ground, Put what you love into your winter treasure box. Look around and discuss the differences between things. What has fallen? What's the difference between the leaf that's fallen off the tree and the leaves that are still on the trees? Discuss the smells around you. Take your mask down at a social distance and use the opportunity to smell the air around you. Ask open-ended questions and encourage engagement. This is a wonderful way to use the five senses and to explore and discover and use the perceptual skill of discrimination. When you get back to class, take your treasure box, sit obviously at social distance and on the carpet or at their desks, and let each child have an opportunity to take out a treasure of their treasure box, touch it, feel it, describe it, and say why that's so special to them. And they can keep that. And if they say, can we take it out during break time and find other treasures? Of course you can. You can build on these activities. All of these activities is teaching with intention, providing holistic experiences and opportunities to use the five senses and develop perceptual skills to make meaning of the world. How amazing that we have the opportunity to have these little people in our presence. Let's not get caught up in the stress of COVID. This is our new normal. Let's bring life and the five senses and perceptual skills back into our classrooms. Multi-layered perceptual experiences, holistic sensory experiences, and make the mundane activities, lunchtime, pencil bags, anything that is normal, make it fun and exciting in a beautiful way. So these activities, we've used all our five senses. We have intention to develop the perceptual skill of discrimination, and the other skills come into play. We've used the dulled senses that COVID has restricted us, and we've made COVID classes fun. We've made changes to our COVID classrooms and made the experiences fun and exciting. Let's always remember, create stress-less classrooms. Create visually pleasing classroom environment. Be creative with your activities and adapt to COVID times. Create opportunities to connect. Don't forget to have fun with the children. And because as you know, if you're anxious or the children are anxious, you won't learn very well. So I hope that you have taken something away. I hope that the five senses are always going to be part of your learning process. I hope that perceptual skills have now been awakened inside you, and that you are going to be so excited and go back to your classroom with a new lens. And please take part in all three webinars, because this is going to lead on to Karen's one about play and how unbelievable play is, and how absolutely important it is to develop perceptual skills. And then Lisa's one will wrap up about emotionally holding our children and emotionally holding ourselves so that we can be the best teachers that we can be. So that brings me to the end of the webinar. Thank you so much for your time. I'm so happy and privileged to have spent this time with you. I wish I could have seen you more and interacted with you more, but now's the time to ask me some questions. And if I can't get your questions, please email me and we can always be in touch. Okay, so we have got some questions here. Just to add, somebody has said here, just to add that even visual perception has been dulled too. Absolutely. Yes. Okay, so I'm going to try open up my comment section here. Debbie, my sidekick, who is here, is going to try help me find my comment section. Sorry about that. I love hearing from you. And absolutely, visual has been dulled as well, because you can't even see people's expressions 100%. You can't see a person smiling. You can't see a person you can't lip read anymore. Sometimes you can't even recognize people with them. 100%. I love that. Somebody really enjoyed the stationary activity, And you can also integrate activity in the CAP curriculum. Absolutely, I love all these comments. Let's see what else. All right. All right, Sue says, thank you so much for these wonderful activities. A quick question, do you have any ideas to develop fine motor skills in grade R? Play-Doh and puzzles are not seeming to work. Fine motor activities. Oh, there's a whole lot of fine motor activities that you can do. Sue, can you please email me, because I'd like to send you a list of activities that I have in mind. I'd like to answer that in depth right now, but we don't have enough time. But I think absolutely you need a lot more extension work than just Play-Doh. So can you please email me at jade@ortsacape.org.za and we can have a conversation from there. I'd love to send you some ideas that I have. And Gail said, thank you so much for the very informative session on perceptual development. Pleasure. Do you offer a sensory course? That's a great idea. We love hearing what you want more of. So please email me what you want more of. And using play to develop perceptual skills, 100%. That's coming next week. So please tune in next week to using much more of play. And the children have been very emotional in this time, and one of the teachers is struggling to handle that. Please tune into webinar 3, where we are discussing emotional challenges in COVID-19. A lot of you had said thank you. It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for all of you for being here. A lot of them are comments. I haven't got many questions. I think as you're thinking through what you've heard today, if you have the questions, please email me, and then we can take it forward from there. We can even chat on the phone. I love bouncing ideas and I love learning from you guys. This one says here, just to quickly say, it's another thank you. Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. You guys are so sweet. Okay, so please go back and reflect on what you've heard. And if you have any questions, because I know sometimes it's hard to think now, email us. And a lot of the comments have come up about emotional or play. Those webinars are coming next week, so hopefully those questions will be addressed. And if not, then you can also email Karen and Lisa. I've had such fun with you today. We love perceptual skills. We always do perceptual skills, COVID or not. So please stay tuned, because this is a series of a lot more to come. And I wish you all the best. You're so brave and so wonderful. And just go back with power and motivation and inspiration back to your classrooms, and go 5 senses and perceptual skills. Good luck, everybody, and have a wonderful afternoon. Tuning out from Jade. All the best.